The film begins in a future where massive sinkholes appeared after volcanic eruptions, releasing deadly creatures called Reapers. These creatures killed 90% of humanity, and no one knew how to stop them. Strangely, they feared heights above 8,000 feet, though the reason was unknown. To survive, the remaining people lived on mountaintops with limited resources. Among them was a boy named Hunter, bored of his dull life. One day, he went down the mountain, hoping to see the Reapers. While exploring, a Reaper spotted him. Hunter ran as fast as he could and barely crossed the safe line before the Reaper could attack. Hunter was saved, but his dad soon found out he had gone down the mountain. Worried and angry, his dad warned him that going down was extremely dangerous. He reminded Hunter of his breathing problem, which forced him to rely on filters all the time. One day, Hunter expressed his desire to find more survivors using the old bus. His dad, filled with fear, said, "Hunter, I've already lost your mom. I don't want to lose you too." After saying this, he went hunting with his friend Katie. Even while hunting, he remained sad and worried about Hunter. Seeing his distress, Katie comforted him, saying, "He's just a kid. Kids are curious and eager to explore. You should give him some space." While returning with their catch, they encountered Professor Nina, who was conducting experiments on the Reaper's shell. She was developing new bullets, some of which could potentially kill the Reapers. It had been 3 years since Professor Nina had been experimenting on Reaper shells, but she had failed every time. One night, Hunter fell seriously ill. Seeing this, Will panicked and quickly changed Hunter's filter, helping him recover a bit. However, Will realized that they only had one filter left. To save Hunter's life, he had no choice but to descend the dangerous hill to get more filters from the hospital. Knowing the risks, he discussed his plan with Professor Nina, claiming to have found a safe route. Nina didn't believe him, thinking there was no safe zone below, so she refused to go. Determined, Will prepared weapons and was ready to leave when Katie insisted on coming along, saying, "I have no one left in this world. At least I can help save Hunter's life." As they set off, Professor Nina watched them from afar. Unable to give up on her mission, she decided to join them, hoping to finally create a bullet capable of killing the Reapers. They took a special route with fewer Reaper sightings. Nina showed them her modified compass that could detect Reapers from a distance using electromagnetic waves emitted by the creatures. After walking for a long time, they finally reached a dangerous area where Reapers could attack at any moment. Professor Nina's compass indicated that no Reapers were nearby, so the group continued their journey. They came across a number of military trucks, likely used in an attempt to fight the Reapers. But it seemed the soldiers had perished in battle. Will and Katie scavenged survival supplies from the trucks, finding many grenades, which Katie knew how to use. They felt confident that the rest of the journey would be easier with the grenades in hand. Meanwhile, Professor Nina discovered a large hole, likely a part of a Reaper's body. She began collecting samples, hoping to learn more about the creatures and find a way to kill them. However, tension rose between Katie and Nina. Katie blamed Nina for the death of her friend and Will's wife, thinking Nina's actions were responsible. Their argument grew heated, but before it could escalate further, they were interrupted by a sound in the distance. They were startled to see a large group of horses. To their surprise, the Reapers had never attacked animals. They only killed humans. The group made their way to the chairlift, which was essential for completing the next part of their journey. When they arrived, Professor Nina sensed the presence of a Reaper nearby, as her compass started reacting. As they scanned the area, they spotted a tree on one side, and soon realized that the Reaper was lurking there. If they wanted to survive, they had to flee immediately. Will and Professor Nina hopped onto the chairlift, while Katie scrambled to power it on. As the Reaper got closer to Katie, she panicked and, in her fear, threw a grenade near it. The explosion was massive, but surprisingly, the Reaper remained unaffected. With no time to lose, they managed to start the chairlift and made their escape. Meanwhile, Katie was struggling to climb onto the chairlift. She leapt from the tower toward the chair, but missed and was about to fall. Just in time, Will grabbed her hand and pulled her up. However, the danger wasn't over. The Reaper was right behind them, violently shaking the chairlift cables. The chairlift broke and fell, and the group was forced to run for their lives, heading back toward higher ground where the Reapers couldn't reach. Once they were back, they couldn't return to their homes because they were too far away. Instead, they took refuge in a restaurant where the three of them sat down to talk about what had happened. Professor Nina explains to them that when these monsters first appeared in the world, they killed 95% of the population without rest, as if they had come with the sole purpose of exterminating humans. However, there was a strange thing about them. They didn't kill just anyone, but only humans, leaving other species untouched. This led Nina to wonder if these Reapers were specifically designed to eliminate humans, or if they were sent by some higher power to carry out God's will. As Nina and Katie talk about this, they eventually fall asleep, while Will remains awake, lost in memories of his wife. He recalls moments they shared, including discussions about Professor Nina. Will's wife had always believed that Nina was the only one capable of creating a gadget that could defeat the Reapers. The next morning, the three of them set off for their mission. To gather necessary supplies, they had to go down to the city. As they walked, they passed through a tunnel. Half of it was at an altitude of 8,000 feet, high enough that the Reapers couldn't reach, but the other half was at a much lower altitude, where the risk of encountering Reapers was high. Despite the danger, they pressed on and entered the tunnel. Will didn't inform Professor Nina that her compass wouldn't work underground. After traveling for a long time, he discovers that the other entrance to the tunnel is closed. Now, he has to find a way to reach the other tunnel. Although traveling for several more hours would be exhausting, there's a shortcut through a set of small stairs. They decide to take this route. However, it has been closed for a long time, and now there are numerous bats in the area. Some of these bats attack them, but they manage to survive. Eventually, they reach another tunnel, but their arrival doesn't bring them any relief. A Reaper is already there, as if waiting for them. Quickly, they cover the lights on their heads so the Reaper can't sense them. Despite their efforts, the Reaper still detects them. In a desperate bid to escape, they start running, and while running, Katie throws a grenade ahead. She knows that the Reaper won't be killed by it, but it will slow it down. Her tactic works a few times, but the Reaper is still pursuing them. Will turns around and shoots at the Reaper, hoping to stop it, but the bullets have no effect. Fortunately, they find a small hole in the tunnel, and all three manage to escape through it. In this tunnel, the Reaper closes its burning tail near their faces, drying their breath. But Will doesn't show mercy either. He throws the matchbox to the other side, distracting the Reaper as it looks at the light. Now, the group tries to make their way through the tunnel from the other side and escape. But once again, the Reaper puts the matchbox in front of them, attempting to stop them as it continues to chase them. Somehow, Will manages to escape the attack. Katie, who is ahead of everyone, rushes into another tunnel where yet another Reaper is waiting. This time, the Reaper does not show mercy and attacks Katie, killing her. Nina tries desperately to save her from behind, but her efforts are in vain. In a final moment of hope, Nina spots a ladder leading out of the tunnel, and Will decides to leave with her, leaving Katie behind. This decision will haunt them for the rest of their lives. Now, they reach a safe altitude above 8,000 feet, where no Reaper can reach them, and they are safe for the moment. But Nina doesn't prioritize staying safe. Instead, she focuses on her mission and decides to move towards her labs. There were many houses here where no one lived anymore. Will and Professor Nina were sitting in one of them. There was plenty of food, and Nina cooked for both of them. While sitting there, Will remembered Hunter. He had always loved this simple food, and now in their city, even such basic food had become a rarity. Anyway, Nina explained to Will how she could create a bullet using a mixture of different chemicals that could kill the Reapers. She believed that the Reapers must have some sort of magnetic power, and with the help of a special chemical capable of neutralizing that charge like a bomb, there was a 90% chance the Reapers would die. Will didn't believe her at all. He also couldn't understand why Nina's theory was something that Will's wife had trusted. The next day, the two of them set off for the lab. Their first stop was a hospital, where Will needed to get Hunter's medicine and filters. He grabbed a gun, knowing that they might encounter the Reapers along the way. However, Nina's compass hadn't signaled the presence of any monsters so far. Will finally got the medicine, collecting as much as he could. Just when they were about to leave, they realized that a Reaper was hiding in the hospital. Nina's compass had failed to detect it because it was now broken. The Reaper started attacking them, breaking through the walls. It captured Will using its tentacle, trapping him. Here, Professor Nina cleverly grabs an axe from a nearby firebox and strikes the Reaper's tail, causing it to release Will. Now they had to escape quickly. But before running, Nina opened all the oxygen cylinders in the room, creating a thick fog that concealed their presence, making it hard for the Reapers to see them. While Nina's idea was smart, Will had an even more brilliant one. He shot at an oxygen tank, causing a massive explosion that sent the Reaper flying out of the building. The two of them saw the Reaper lying motionless on the ground, but they couldn't tell if it was dead or just unconscious. With the danger still present, Will suggested they leave, but Nina insisted on continuing her mission. She wanted to get to her lab to create a new bullet that could kill the Reapers. Will agreed, and they hopped into the truck to head for the lab. As they left, we saw that the Reaper had regained consciousness. Meanwhile, Nina had already begun her work in the lab. While Will was visiting the lab, he came across a family photo of Professor Nina. He was shocked to see that she had a family, as she had never mentioned anything about them before. Curious, he asked her about it, and Nina broke down in tears. She explained, "The day the Reapers first attacked the world, I was in the lab. My family kept calling me, but I decided to stay in the lab. And because of my decision, my family died. And now I'm the only one alive." Hearing this, Will became deeply emotional. Nina continued, That was the day, and this is today. I made a vow to take revenge on these Reapers. I will definitely avenge my family. With a heavy heart, she turned and shot a bullet at the Reaper's scale. But the bullet had no effect, showing that her bullet was incomplete. She told Will, "You should go back to your son. I'll stay here until I find a solution and make a new bullet." Will agreed, knowing that Hunter needed more medicine, and decided to leave. Meanwhile, Nina got so caught up in her work that she didn't notice when a Reaper entered the lab. As she heard the sound of the Reaper, she closed her eyes, realizing that she hadn't yet tried a chemical composition that could truly work. In a rush, she mixed the chemicals and started crafting a new bullet. On the other hand, we see Will desperately trying to return to his town as quickly as possible. But then, Will's car collided with a stone and crashed. The accident caused him to lose consciousness. After a while, when he regained his senses, he heard the sound of a monster nearby. He needed to escape quickly to save his life. The car wasn't going to help him, so he broke the front mirror and managed to get out. He tried to run uphill to escape the Reaper, but this time, it seemed his efforts might fail because the Reaper was almost on top of him. Just as the Reaper was about to attack, Will suddenly heard the sound of a bullet. Miraculously, the bullet killed the Reaper. The shooter was none other than Nina, who had successfully made a new bullet from her experiment, capable of killing the Reapers. She had managed to take down the Reaper just in time to save Will. When the Reaper died, a massive explosion followed, signaling that Nina was fine. The explosion was caused by the electric charge, which created the powerful blast. When Nina and Will approached the dead Reaper, they discovered something shocking. The Reaper was not a creature or an animal, but a robot monster that had been engineered. Someone must have made the Reaper specifically to kill humans. As Will and Nina realized this, they were both shocked. Will was still confused, unsure of who could have sent so many monsters. Nina responded, suggesting that they were likely alien-created robots, sent to Earth by aliens. She further explained that these Reapers couldn't function at altitudes above 8,000 feet because something was wrong with their programming, which prevented them from operating at such heights. Armed with her new bullet, Nina managed to kill all the Reapers in her path and reached her camp. Here, she was overjoyed because she had finally found a way to kill the alien robots. This breakthrough was symbolized by a pirate flag, signaling to everyone that they now had a method to defeat the Reapers. The survivors immediately began preparing for the battle. They produced a large number of bullets using Nina's formula, and one of the bullets even bore Katie's name as a tribute to her bravery in getting Nina to the lab. After the bullets were made, the survivors engaged in a fierce battle with the Reapers, slowly reclaiming their territory by killing the monsters. Meanwhile, Nina continued studying the body of a Reaper, feeling a sense of accomplishment. While looking at the sky through a telescope, she saw 3 large spaceships descending from above, indicating that the aliens were aware of the Reapers' defeat and had now come to wage a full-scale war against them. The movie ends with this mystery, leaving the fate of humanity uncertain as the aliens prepare for their next move.